Hello, my name is Leo and welcome to a new day of the Elder Scrolls Arena. We're still fast traveling over to Iron Maval, but this week, as I've said before, is of course request week. Today, well, it's not actually a request, it's my own request. With the GT5 or Gran Turismo 5 online servers going down in a couple of months, I thought I might play a bit of Gran Turismo. So, the first episode of that, which isn't actually much of anything, just me really talking about Gran Turismo 5 and setting up me playing the game, it is going to come out today. And tomorrow, oh yes, tomorrow is the first episode of Hugo's House of Horrors, so make sure you check that one out as well. Now, I know I've talked about this before. I talked about Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, and whether or not I wanted to actually buy it. And I've been thinking about it, but then last night I was in my local Japanese video game store and I saw something that made me think what I should do. So here's where we stand, okay? Now I've already been over this, that Australia pays through the teeth for games and electronic things. Basically, if you want a disc copy, now the game isn't actually out yet in Australia. So I'm gonna start with the prices in Australia because that's the most friggin' expensive. The game's not out yet. It's been delayed until the 27th of March. But when the game does come out, a disc copy of the game will be about 48 bucks Australian. You can do the math on how much that is in American dollars, but I'm pretty sure it's probably similar to that, maybe 50 bucks, something about that. I think the Australian dollar is doing better than the American dollar right now. Anyway, the point is, that's a decent amount of money, considering that it's supposed to be like 30 bucks in America. For a disc version? Yeah, for a disc version. Yeah, the digital version. Okay, right. Now, I of course am not in America, or Australia for that matter, I'm in Japan. Now, if I wanted to buy an American copy of the game and ship it over here, which is exactly what I did with Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, it'd cost me around about $37 Australian, which is instantly much better than the friggin' Australian version, right? Now, if I wanted to buy a digital version on the American PSN store, it's 20 bucks American. That being said, because it's on the American PSN store and I don't have an American credit card, I would need to buy a $20 PSN, like a credit thing, a gift card, if you will. I don't what do you call those things? A PSN card, $20 PSN card. Now that would cost me around about $24, $25. Still, $25 compared to $48 is a huge difference. That being said, it's a digital copy, which is good and bad depending on the way you look at it. It's good because it means I don't have to wait for it to be shipped. I do still have to wait for the website that I ordered the PSN card from to send me my code so that I can use it. But after that, I can just download it straight away. And at least while I'm in Japan, it's very quick to download stuff. Australia's a different story, but that's fine because I'm in Japan right now. That being said, I've been kind of wanting disc copies of things recently because I've talked about this before. I'll talk about it during the Gran Turismo 5 video that's going to come out today. I'm really paranoid about the possible future of PSN, the PSN store just shutting down, or the PlayStation 3 servers just shutting down one day, and me never being able to download games that I've previously purchased. Like, for example, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker is not currently on my system. If there was no server for me to download that game from, like if it just ceased to exist for all eternity, I would never be able to download that game ever again, and that would suck. And I know that PlayStation's coming out with, what is it, the PS Play, what's it called? Yeah, but guess what? I don't want to play something over an internet connection. I want to have it as a thing that's on my console that I can play whenever I want, whether I'm connected to the internet or not. Okay? That's just, in a way, PS Play is kind of like the way that the Xbox One was um, before it was released. How they were going to have every 24 hours you had to be connected to the internet. In a way, PlayStation or PS Play or whatever the hell it's called is worse than that, because to play it at all you have to be connected to the internet. Also, you got to pay some. Clearly, you're going to have to pay some sort of subscription fee to play the game as well, which is dumb because I paid money for the game. I should be able to play it for free. Anyway, whatever. That's a whole other discussion. The point is, I'm paranoid about that stuff, so I'm kind of hoping for a disc version of the game. Now, one thing that I've never considered. Now, when you go on websites like, for example, PlayAsia.com, which is where I got Revengeance, they've got different versions of the game, different, regions of the game. For Revengeance, and Ground Zeroes, which is a good example because that's the game we're talking about today, you've got the American version, you've got the European version, you've got the Japanese version, of course. Then there's another version. Well, in the case of Revengeance, there's also the Australian version. Of course, for Ground Zeroes, it's not there right now because the game hasn't come out yet. But there's another version, and it's called the Asia version. And it's slightly cheaper. It's about $2 cheaper than the American version, which otherwise is the second, cheapest version that you can buy. And it says that it's in English. So I guess this is the version that they release in maybe Hong Kong, maybe China, maybe other Asian countries. And it's in English because they can't translate it to whatever language that particular country is. And if you want to play the game, well, hopefully you know English, because if you don't, well, you're kind of screwed. I think that's how it works. And although I know it was cheaper to buy the Asian version of Revengeance, I decided on buying the American. Actually, you know what? I bought the American version because the American version had the 2 DLC for free. Good point. Yeah. But the other reason is if DLC comes out, I've got an American account. I don't even know how I would go about creating an Asian account. You know what I mean? So I just didn't bother. But one thing I've never looked at, never even considered, is the Japanese version of the game. Because, well, why would you? In my experience, except for a couple of instances, Japanese games are always, Japanese audio and Japanese subtitles. And there's no possibility to listen to it or play it in English. Which would make sense. Why would they even bother doing that? It just doesn't even make sense. Now, with the exception of a couple of games like Onimusha 1, you could actually have, I think, English subtitles. I don't think you could have English audio. No, you could have English or Japanese subtitles with Japanese audio. Onimusha 3, or Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, actually had English and Japanese audio, which is really dumb. It was 2 discs, right? Because you had both audios. Fair enough. The Australian version had 2 discs, but it only had English. It didn't have Japanese audio. Why would they cut it out? Why wouldn't they just leave it in? Now, I've purchased the Japanese version of all the Metal Gear games, except all the main numbered Metal Gear games. So I haven't got Peace Walker, but I got Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, and 4, the Japanese versions. They've all had Japanese subtitles and Japanese audio. Revengeance was interesting because it actually had English audio and Japanese subtitles. That being said, I don't have the Japanese version of the game. It's, like I said, the American version of the game. But it does have Japanese subtitles, which is interesting. I've never even considered getting the Japanese version of the game. That being said, the Japanese version of the game is more expensive. At least on PlayAsia it is. It was like $2 more expensive than the American version. Now, normally, actually, the Japanese games are, well, they're a little bit cheaper than Australia, but in some cases they're the exact same price as the Australian. For example, Project Diva F on the PlayStation 3 was, when it was finally released in the West, was on the PlayStation Store was the same price on the Japanese PlayStation Store as it was on the Australian PlayStation Store, which was like $80 or something ridiculous. That being said, you could buy a disc copy of the game in store for like $30, which was insane. But you know, that's just the way it was. But yeah, like I said, I was in my local Japanese game store, having a look for a different reason, which I'll get into another day. Yeah, I won't get into the reasons why I was there looking at stuff, but I was looking at stuff, looking at PlayStation 3s, looking at, you know, the price of a 500 gigabyte PlayStation 3, for reasons that I have explained in the Gran Turismo 5 video, so go check that out. You know, the whole paranoia about not being able to download games, so maybe if it ever goes down, I'll just buy a 500 gigabyte PlayStation and just download everything onto it, and then just have it, you know. And that being said, it'll be smaller as well, true. But I saw that they had Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. And I was like, ooh, that's interesting. Because doesn't the game come out on the 20th? And yesterday was the 19th in Japan. So that was weird. It was already out and you could pick it up and buy it. And I was like, shit, this is awesome. I'll buy it. Hell. But how much is it? It was $26. So it was cheaper than the disc copy of the American version on PlayAsia. Well, cheaper than any of the versions on PlayAsia. And it was only about $2 more expensive than the downloadable version from the American PSN store. And but you know, whatever, who cares? It's in Japanese. It doesn't do me any good, right? So I have a look on the back of the case, and it says in Japanese and English. It says Japanese audio / English subtitles selectable from options. And I did a double take. I was like, wait, what? Wait, come on, wait, let me read that again. Is that a mistranslation? Japanese audio and with English subtitles selectable. And I asked the shopkeeper, I'm like, dude, does this have English subtitles? And he's looking at it, he's like, yeah, it does. And I'm like, holy shit. And I went and I grabbed the Yakuza Ishin, the new Yakuza game. I'm like, does this have English subtitles? And he's like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, damn it. So I'm like, oh my god, wait a minute. I could buy this game. And it'll have, now, generally speaking, I like watching anime, movies, and games, assuming they're Japanese games, in Japanese audio. So, like in the case of Metal Gear Solid, I bought all the Japanese versions of all the games. Mind you, like ages after they had originally come out, so they were dirt cheap. And despite the fact that they didn't have English subtitles, because I played the games over and over and over and over again, I knew exactly what they were saying. I knew the word. I know the script of Metal Gear Solid 1 off by heart. That I could play the game in my head right now, at least the cutscenes. No, I could play the entire game in my head right now, knowing exactly where to go, what to do, who to shoot, and like all the words, the entire script of the game. I could easily do that right now. It's insane. So I can easily play the game with the Japanese version of the game, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play through all the games as a Shut Up and Play series sometime in the future. Hold out for that. But I actually had to stop and think, because at first I'd be like, hell yeah, I want to get this game. It's got the Japanese audio. That's awesome. That's great. But wait a minute. Wait. Do I really want my first experience with this Metal Gear to be in Japanese? I've kind of gotten used to playing the Metal Gear series in English and then Japanese, but mostly in English. So playing the game in Japanese would just be weird. Also, when you're reading it, like with the case was with Warriors Orochi 3, like it was impossible to read the subtitles in the middle of battle. Like for cutscenes it's fine, but when you've got like subtitles during gameplay, it's impossible to read it, and then you're missing out on key dialogue, and I don't really want that. That being said, if I did buy it, I'd kind of be giving the finger to Kiefer Sutherland saying, well, You're not gonna have David Hayter as the voice of Snake? Well, I'm just not gonna listen to the English version of the game then. Go back to, I forgot his name. He's the voice of Bato in Ghost in the Shell, the Japanese voice actor, who plays Snake in the Japanese game. And he's the same actor, so I recognize the voice. Well, maybe less than David Hayter, but at least I recognize the voice. Not that, I'm sure Keith Sutherland will do a good job of doing the voice of Snake and all that. But, maybe I should buy this game. I've slept on it, now I'm thinking. I'm not sure if I want to. It's pretty cheap. I could just buy it, and then later on down the track, maybe I can get the English version, like dirt cheap. Maybe I'm pretty sure they'll when the Phantom Pain finally does come out, they will probably bundle Ground Zeroes with the game. That being said, I did download the Ground Zeroes app on my phone, and I was playing that for a little bit this morning. Although it doesn't take long before you can't actually do anything. You start off with two officers, Snake and Kaz, and if they fall in battle, then they're knocked out for 4 hours, unless you've got like an exorbitant amount of money to in-game currency to actually bring them back to life. So once they get knocked out, you need at least one officer to go on a mission. So once they were both knocked out, and I had no money to upgrade things or do anything with my base, there's pretty much nothing you can do in the game, which is kind of boring. But that being said, I'm sure the app is a lot more interesting when you actually own the game that it's supposed to be, a companion to. So yeah, maybe I will just buy the game. I wonder if the app will work with the Japanese version of the game though. Probably will. And I hope that I know that stuff transfers over from this game to the other game. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's gonna work. I'm thinking about whether or not I should buy this game. I don't know if I should. Yeah, let me know what you think. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a few dollars more. If I wanted to buy the game now, I would probably buy this version, because it's a couple of dollars more expensive than the cheapest version of the game, and it is a disc version. Also, it's got Japanese audio, which is cool. It's fine. And I can always get, I'm sure the English version on the American store will probably be discounted to some ridiculous amount. I saw Grand Theft Auto 4 for like $6 the other day. And the stories, both DLCs for like $6 as well. Which I was spewing, because when Gran Theft Auto 5, wait, 5? 4? 5. When Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, they were selling Grand Theft Auto 4 with the DLC for like some really cheap amount. Cheaper than it was to buy the DLC on its own. I already had the game on the Xbox, but I bought it again. I bought the game just for the DLC basically. But I don't know what I'm going to do about Metal Gear. I'll think about it, and maybe I'll get back to you. And if I do get the Japanese version, because I don't really see anybody doing it on YouTube, maybe I'll do a shut up and play of just the story, just so people can, because it'll have English subtitles, so you'll be able to read it this time. So you can listen to the Japanese voices of the game. It's fairly short game anyway, so it wouldn't take long. But anyway, for now, my name is Leo, and I'll see you next.